Story 1. Unsubscribe button not being honored. Tactics include 1. Takes 15 days to unsubscribe but 1 minute to subscribe. Sometimes the link does not exist at all. Sometimes it takes you to a non-existent page. Sometimes it asks you to log in, but you never had an account. Sometimes they randomly send emails even after unsubscribing, especially around the holiday season. They might email out of the blue. Perhaps they got an incompetent new marketing person. They do not realize that the product they sell is not something I buy or need on a regular basis. For example, in Dakino, how frequently do you think I buy a new suit? The whole marketing email is an image and not HTML. Clicking on it just opens the image or takes you to the homepage, mostly sites from India. Somehow referencing the CAN-SPAM Act and sending it to their privacy email stops all the emails suddenly. But then point 5 happens. Story 2. Subscription with advertisements. Advertisements were only widely accepted because we had to maintain our work somehow. Advertisements ruined the internet. Then subscription came along, offering a paid version to get rid of those pesky advertisements. But let's get more money from both sides. Also, premium content. All content uses the same platform. They are forced to do extra work to separate content in the delivery and choose which content is premium. It's a scam on top of their subscription scam. Story 3. Here is a new product. Uber, DoorDash, Amazon. It is so cheap and easy. 1 year later. Sorry, we had to raise prices. Sorry, you have to pay for a membership now. Sorry, we had to make the application really confusing so you are not really sure what you are buying. Sorry, you have to wade through 1 million advertisements to find what you are looking for. Sorry, not sorry. Story 4. Everything needs an app, especially physical devices. I don't want your cheap buggy application to use my thermostat, scale, battery, lock, or light bulb. Ship one if you want, but devices should conform to standards-based, documented protocols so I can control them however I want. I also don't want to install an application just to do something that works just fine on a website. Also, requiring internet connectivity is poor design. I don't want basic functionality depending on your servers being up and requiring accounts and giving you unknown data. My device should not stop working because you decided to stop spending money on the servers. This is bad with software but egregious with hardware and unacceptable with household devices. My water heater should never depend on outside servers. I've been in technology a long time. While greed, control, and access to sellable data drive many things, there is also an attitude surviving from the 1990s and 2000s that the lifespan of anything is a few years. This attitude affects product design, even in fields where lifespans are decades and replacement costs are high as we add computing to everything, which can be a great thing. Universal Serial Bus was successful not because it had one plug, but because it standardized the protocols devices used. All mice speak one protocol, so anything that knows it can handle any mouse. Z-Wave and Zigbee tried to do this for household items, but instead we got vendor-proprietary, internet-connected, phone-home, Wi-Fi devices. Rant done. Story 5. Apps and accounts for everything, especially when it could just be a website with guest checkout. I'll never go to McDonald's again because you need an app to get their real, non-absurd price, and last weekend I tried skiing at Pico or Magic, but they needed an account to be created online, and you could only buy a ticket through the account. They didn't let you just walk up to the ticket window and buy a ticket. Ridiculous. Story 6. Planned obsolescence. Companies need that profit margin, and they will use very underhanded methods to make sure your appliances or electronics will get replaced by their new models when they come out. Story 7. I can't believe I don't see this in here, but the fact that most technology companies use their end users as testers is wild. Tons of the time, you get something released that like half works, and the end users or customers are used to find and fix bugs. It's everywhere, man. Story 8. The way expansion packs work with games now, or at least a lot I play, it seems like it used to be that an expansion meant essentially almost a new game with lots of unique material. But now I feel lucky if any single one is noticeable at all, not to mention day one releases. Story 9. I work in a very niche area of technology, and the biggest scam is people who work in tech but are not technical. I'm specifically talking about people who show up as chief executive officer or founder on LinkedIn and try to sell me some artificial intelligence-driven, zero-trust, buzzword salad product. The field is so full of them that non-technical decision makers are having trouble identifying them, so they put a non-technical or technical chief information officer or chief technology officer in charge, and he hires more non-technical people because he himself is too untechnical to identify them. Before long, your information technology, cybersecurity, and information systems management departments are loaded with people who have no technical expertise. For example, my company buys smaller companies, and in one case, we bought a small $20 million operation. Their information technology department was one very technical systems administrator and then about 20 people who were really good at Excel. They had the entire corporate network run by daisy-chaining routers together, all operating with no virtual local area networks, traffic segregation, or security. There was no firewall, just plugging in a router to the modem. They didn't bother with any Wi-Fi security, just people connecting to the network, so guests' personal cell phones and whatever else were all directly tied into the corporate network. I explained that this was a problem to my management, who don't know tech but trust me to know it, and to the new subsidiary. Their chief technology officer was furious at me for telling him how to do his job and fully believed he was still in charge of their tech. He had a chief information officer who worked for him, and she spent roughly $20,000 a month on services that she bought from vendors to support their network. Most of the stuff she bought didn't even make sense in the context of their organization, such as spending tens of thousands on a cloud product and Terraform to deploy their infrastructure as code when they had 3 virtual machines on Amazon Web Services. She spent every day being wined and dined by vendors and then threw them breadcrumbs to keep visiting her and filling her schedule. Story 10, AI in everything. Just leave me alone with this self-learning, auto-replicating, language-adapting technology. I just want my Google Chrome to load websites quickly, not analyze my text entry patterns. Story 11, digital media in general. I understand why people are attracted to it due to convenience and similar factors, but despite all the money we spend, we don't actually own anything. Companies can go bankrupt, deal with breakups, merge, or let licenses expire. Digital storefronts may close at any time. The game, movie, song, television show, or whatever you paid for can become unusable and unobtainable without notice and with few ways to retrieve it. This issue has been particularly significant in video game communities, with various digital storefronts being shut down. The Nintendo 3DS and Wii U stores were just closed. The Xbox 360 store is set to close this year, and some are only preserved due to significant backlash when Sony announced the closure of the PlayStation 3 store. There will be no way to recover those games unless you resort to piracy. As the saying goes, if buying is not owning, then piracy is not stealing. Story 12. Physical banks charge fees on everything done digitally. You want to move your money, transaction fees. You want to keep your money, account management fees. You want to withdraw your money, fees again. Seriously, everything works on its own with technology, with no human intervention 99% of the time. Banks already make money from loan interest while giving us back poor return interest to borrow our money to make millions in profits. Having to pay for basic and automated operations is a ripoff. Story 13. Subscription-based in-car technology. We are currently moving into an era where physical hardware built into the car you purchased for $50,000 is gated behind a subscription. Story 14. Pretty much the whole AAA video games industry, releasing bugged games, making games with downloadable content in mind or cutting content to sell it to you. Endless sequels. No more risks, creativity, or originality. Microtransactions, gambling, and subscriptions. Online single-player games. You don't own games anymore and can't sell them. Quality of hardware, especially controllers, has gone down significantly. I don't know if it's accepted, but people really have no other choice but to take it. Story 15. Trapping customers in ecosystems. Having non-upgradable hardware. Only having a limited time with security updates, all focused on optimizing long-term profits. Story 16. Planned obsolescence. This applies to almost any technology. We could have light bulbs that last essentially forever, but there is a lobby making it impossible because then not enough bulbs can be sold. This is true for phones, laptops, washing machines, anything you can name. Well, that's just the way it is. Story 17. Forced arbitration and changing the terms of service after the product has been bought. When I bought my device, I had an understanding of what I was buying. It makes my skin crawl knowing that companies can change that after I paid for something, and I can't hold them accountable for that. It's like I bought a pizza with some toppings. After I buy it with the terms being I can eat the toppings as well, they take away the toppings from the rest of the pizza as soon as I've had a couple of slices. Feels absolutely disgusting to me. Story 18. Needing Wi-Fi to play single-player video games. Yes, about 5 people are complaining about it, but no one is doing any meaningful protests to stop it. Unfinished products being sold for full price. Everyone hates it, but we all continue to consume. I can guarantee you that Rockstar Games will rush Grand Theft Auto 6, and it will be leaked with everyone saying, it's bad, or literally impossible to play, and yet everyone will still buy it. Story 19. Subscriptions for software. You used to just be able to pay $100 or so for a really good piece of software, and you could keep it forever and either get the next one at a discount or you would get free updates. Now you have to spend like $200 a year, and you do not get to keep the versions you pay for. Story 20. The current narrative is that large language models like generative pre-trained Transformer 4 can do your homework, handle your taxes, write a new program for your specific needs, and do all that with complete understanding of the task and what you mean. The last part is the issue. A large language model can do some impressive things, but they have no capability for reasoning, understanding, or planning, yet they are being pushed in ways that make the public think they do, and so they are being used inappropriately in myriad ways, ranging from writing legal briefs to planning combat strategies. They are nothing more or less than very advanced next word predictors, yet they are being treated like HAL 9000 or Commander Data, with their capabilities being greatly overhyped by the industry and overestimated by the public. You would think we cracked artificial general intelligence the way this technology is being advertised. Story 21. Having to subscribe to your car. Yes, that's right, you're buying a brand new car for 75 grand, and they make you pay for extras on a monthly basis instead of just having a base model and a premium model. It's just one model and you pay for the extra features. And people just accept this. They think that because they're saving money on fuel, they're okay with spending it on the subscription. Story 22. More of you should know about Cory Doctorow's theory of enshittification so you can recognize it elsewhere. In short, it's a 3-step process. 1. Give the users what they want, such as good deals and TV series, to build a captive audience like Amazon Prime users. Sacrifice audience happiness to attract sellers and advertisers with worse Prime deals and more sponsored results. But if you leave, you lose your Amazon Prime shows. Wring every cent you can out of your sellers and advertisers to pass on to your investors. Amazon is now an environment of one-off companies paying more to get listed higher, with no concept of brand loyalty. Story 23. Sure, there are valid uses for these like circumventing geo-blocking, but the majority of use cases they advertise, privacy, encryption, security, are utter falsehoods. You're basically trading your internet service provider, that is bound by data protection laws in most countries, for some shady company located on the Cayman Islands. Your virtual private network provider can monitor your entire traffic and is in a perfect position to perform man-in-the-middle attacks on you, especially if you use the provider's software. It's basically like being on public Wi-Fi all the time, just that you're paying to do so. Story 24. The American health insurance model involves paying higher rates per person for less coverage, limited options, and significant excesses that you still need to pay, even when fully insured. Other parts of the world have collective health care, funded by all members of the population, free at the source and taxpayer-funded. The only difference in the two models is that the taxpayer version is insurance that everyone pays into. There are no excesses, and most importantly, the medical industry isn't siphoning funding to appease investors. The taxpayers are the investors. There are no dividends or shareholders to take money out of the industry, rather than using it for patient care. Is it a perfect system? No, but I take it over bankrupting millions of people with mild injuries or needing essential care like a maternity ward, and millions more avoiding treatment altogether. This actually costs the economy more than just having the healthcare in place. Some industries don't need investor shareholders. Story 25. Going to get slammed for this, but here it goes. Not really about technology, but related to the tech industry. Consultants. Any application or software a company acquires seems to require a team of consultants to manage or customize it, not just for a couple of months, but years. I find it ridiculous that companies allow this to happen. Story 26. The gig economy. Exerting control over a contingent workforce with algorithms so you do not have to pay a livable wage or payroll expenses. Also, tipping.